Hello guys, welcome. So about 2 months ago, BioWare gave us a first look at the Dragon Age Veilguard gameplay. They did so by showing us some of the first moments from the game in a 20-minute gameplay reveal video. Today, I am doing a breakdown of that gameplay reveal. Yeah, I'm very late, it's fine, don't worry about it. Before I start though, the way I'm going to do this is, I'm going to take a look at the whole thing and not just the combat gameplay. In fact, I'll likely spend most of the time talking about things like the characters we meet, where the story is going, and the areas we see, since that is what I mostly care about. I'll talk about the combat too, but with combat I always kind of struggle to really grasp what's going on just by looking at someone else play, you know? I really need to have played something myself for me to really get it. Plus, you guys know I'm here mostly for the story anyway. So, with that said, grab yourself a nice warm cup of tea and let's jump straight in. Okay, before I start with the actual video, I want to say I've been away for a few days and a lot has happened since my last upload. One of the things being the announcement that SAG-AFTRA has called for a strike on the video game industry. I am not the right person to talk about what this means exactly and what effect it will have on what projects or Dragon Age Veilguard for that matter. But I will leave a link to their website in the description if you want to learn more about it. All I want to say is that I fully support the actors that are currently striking, and I hope you all get what you want and what you deserve for the wonderful work you have done and hopefully are able to continue to do. The other bit of news is that a few days ago, it was announced that Game Informer, the publication that recently did a lot of Dragon Age Veilguard articles, is shutting down. My heart goes out to all of the staff that was laid off, and I hope they are able to find jobs elsewhere. Alright, now let's get into the video. So the reveal starts off by telling us that the footage we're going to see takes place very early in the game, and that it has been edited to avoid major spoilers. Then we see this beautiful shot of the city of Minrathous, while the player character, called Rook, is talking to Varric about a lead on Solas' whereabouts.
Should we be in more of a hurry to get out of here?
We don't want to look conspicuous. Just get out of here nice and casual. Find Neve and stop Solas.
The sharp features of the architecture in combination with the magical neon signs and beautiful lighting in the dark, rainy night makes this gothic cyberpunk-like city look intimidating and stunning at the same time. The city looks massive and is full of NPCs that seem to be all doing their own thing. Chatting, bartering, working. Rook also passes by a beggar at the start of the reveal, which he can interact with. While they don't do so in the reveal, this gives me hope that there will be NPCs in the world that we can interact with even if they are not part of a quest. And the reason I find this important is that it just adds to the immersion for me. Just like walking into a city full of characters that are actually doing something rather than just standing around.
You still think you can talk him down before he starts his big ritual?
That ritual is going to tear down the veil. The only thing separating us from the Fade and an endless number of demons. I have to talk him down.
We don't have a lot of time to admire the scenery though, as Solas has already started his ritual to bring down the veil. A massive terror appears in the sky, and demons start pouring in. And speaking of demons, as we follow Rook and Varric rushing through the city to find Harding, we can see that the demons that are now wreaking havoc upon Minrathous look a little different than the ones from the previous games. And honestly, I freaking love these new designs. The burning demons, which I'm assuming are rage demons, kinda look like hellhounds, or hell werewolves might be a better name for them. Not just because of how they look, but also the way they are hunting the poor civilians and taking them down with them as they jump off the edge of the main path. And the Pride Demon had such a glow up. Literally cause, you know, purple veins. See, cause they're glowing. I think this one looks so much more intimidating than its origins to an Inquisition counterpart. In those games, the Pride Demon looks like a creature. And don't get me wrong, it is very intimidating, but it has arms and legs and a mouth. Again, it looks more like a creature, whereas this one looks like some sort of skeletal ghost with the exposed ribcage, lack a lower body, the glowing purple veins, and eerie purple orbs of light where the eyes should be, and the lack of expression on a face that's actually barely recognizable as a face. It actually kind of reminds me of the Lich King's helmet from World of Warcraft. All these things make this demon all the more horrifying to me. We also get a glimpse of what seems to be either a despair demon or a shade.
Harding, you alright?
I've been doing what I can to help. The ritual must be weakening the Veil. There are a lot of scared people out here.
And a lot of demons. Haven't seen this many come through the Fade in years.
And then we get to see the returning dialogue wheel in action. Harding asks if we are okay, and Rook can choose between giving a positive response, a more troubled or panicked response, or a more stoic, straight-to-the-point response, which is what they chose in the gameplay reveal. Rook collects his gear from Harding, and the three continue to look for Neve. And this is also where we get a glimpse of some of the dialogue related to Rook's background.
The bar owner said the Venatori took Neve to Dumont Plaza. Can you get us there, Harding?
Rook, you're with the Shadow Dragons. I figured you'd know Minrathous better than I do.
Sure, but Minrathous is huge, and this is nowhere near my neighborhood. I can try.
Don't worry, scouting's my specialty.
Now we get our first look at the combat. So, the combat. As I said, I'm not really a combat person, at least not in Dragon Age. I play these games mostly for the characters and the story, so I'm far from an expert when it comes to combat. With that said, I will do my best to pretend to know what I'm talking about when judging the combat shown to us in the gameplay reveal. So our team has to fight off some demons. And I think they kind of look like the Despair demons, but with the redesigns they could also be shades. Or maybe there's some new kind of demon. They are wielding magical fate swords, and I don't think we've seen demons use those before. So the combat seems smooth, and it looks like it flows well overall. I think it's fun we actually get to aim when using a bow. One of my biggest pet peeves with melee combat in Inquisition was that dodging attacks could be tricky. If you don't have any of the combat roll skills unlocked and you were in the middle of an attack, you would just stand there and take the hit while your character finished their animation. This seems to have been solved in Veilguard, as the articles confirmed there will be animation cancelling. So it seems melee combat in Veilguard will feel a little bit better. When the combat is over, Rook heals himself using one of the 3 health potions, which are replenished by breaking pots. Also, that's a lot of rats. Where are they going? The next bit of combat with some Venatori cultists shows us we can deflect missile attacks and throw enemies off ledges. Our party slides down into another fight with the Venatori, and this is where we get our first look at the combat wheel. The combat wheel allows us to pause the game and use special abilities for both Rook and our companions. I already talked about this in my companions video, but here we can also see that Harding's arrows glow when she shoots them, which might be connected to her now having magical powers. Either way, the glowing arrow seems to be unique to her, as Rook's arrows don't have this. After defeating the Venatori, we meet Neve, and we get some more background related dialogue.
Rook, this is Neve Gallus, our local expert. She's gonna help us find Solas. Neve, meet Rook. Both of you have done some work for the Shadow Dragons.
Isn't that a coincidence?
Some old friends said if I was working in Tevinter, the Shadow Dragons are worth trusting.
Some old friends, huh? I'm willing to bet these old friends are Dorian and Maevaris. The next bit skips ahead to the party finding Solas' hideout in the Arlathan Forest, which they travel to via Illuvian. They spot Solas' ritual site and fight off some more demons as they try to reach it. The more I think about these demons, the more I think they're just a new type of demon. These demons also seem to be using weapons, but their veins or nervous system glow a different color. Maybe each color represents a different emotion? Also, can I just say, I love how they made the massive hole in the sky look. It reminds me of the Northern Lights, but it also looks like there are shards of glass around the edges of the hole, like the sky is literally shattering. And man, this area just looks beautiful, even in this weather. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it looks in proper daylight. After another time skip, the party arrives at the ritual site where they fight off a pride demon. This is clearly a boss fight, as we see it's got 3 bars that we need to deplete to take it down. The first one I'm assuming is some sort of magic barrier. The second one I'm assuming is armor, and the third one is of course its health. Not sure what the number 4 means though. I'm guessing that's not actually supposed to be here. With the pride demon out of the way, it is time to confront Solas.
Are you sure?
Positive. You three just keep the demons off me while I talk to him.
Varric, Solas isn't gonna stop just because an old friend asks nicely.
Solas needs someone to sell him another option, to help him justify changing his mind.
Of course, talking to Solas is never going to work, but Varric is determined to try. Usually, the choices that we get so early on in the game don't really have an impact. But I do wonder what the difference is if we choose the other option. The "this was a mistake" option that Rook picks here is described as challenge Varric's plan. Varric then says that if Solas won't listen, he will hear from Bianca. I wonder if he says the same thing if we pick the other option, and if the scene we get afterwards plays out the same way, considering... well, I'm getting ahead of myself. You know what? Put a pin in that. We'll get back to it. Here we can also see the first approval changes. Harding approves when you tell Varric talking to Solas is a mistake, and Neve disapproves. Harding I can get, but with Neve being a cynic, I'm kinda surprised that she is in favor of trying to talk Solas out of it. And now we get to what is probably my favorite part in the entire gameplay reveal.
Hey, Chuckles. Hope I'm not interrupting.
Before the gameplay reveal, I really did not expect to see Solas this early on in the game. So this was quite a surprise to me, but I don't dislike it. I actually think it's great that they were able to surprise me even after almost 10 years of speculation, and now I'm just curious to see as to where this is gonna go next. I do wonder where the Inquisitor is at this point, but I expect we'll get some more context in the full game.
The veil is a wound inflicted upon this world. It must be healed.
By drowning the world in demons?
I have taken precautions to minimize the damage, Varric.
Minimize the... People are dying right now. You need to listen. Please.
Yeah, so remember what I said about the outcome of the first choice? I just wonder if it'll play out the same way if we encourage Varric to talk to Solas. Again, the impact is probably not going to be major because it's so early on in the game, but I still wonder. So Rook plans to destroy the scaffolding holding up one of the statues in order to disrupt Solas' ritual. And our next choice here is choosing either Neve or Harding to come with us while the other holds off the demons. Again, this specific choice likely won't have a huge impact, but it is a taste of what kind of choices we will have to make later in the game. Rook decides to take Harding with him, and Harding greatly approves. As Rook and Harding make their way to the statue, you can still hear the conversation between Varric and Solas in the background. It's very hard to hear what they're saying, but not impossible. Thankfully, the internet has done a great job of figuring it out, and one of the first examples I could find was a post by Himluv on Tumblr, which I will also link in the description below. So, Rook and Harding push over the statue, which creates a domino effect as all of the other statues fall over and crumble around Solas, disrupting his ritual. So, I want to go over these last few seconds of the cutscene because there is a lot happening here. First of all, I like that we are the one that messes it all up for him. All those years of planning and preparing, and then Rook comes in, tips over a bunch of statues, and oops, that's the end of your ritual, I guess. Oh look, I just accidentally freed 2 of the ancient elven gods. Sorry about that. Shit happens, you know? Yeah, I don't know, this is just so funny to me. Rather than playing the whole game trying to stop Solas or having Solas succeed in taking down the Veil at the very start of the game, we're getting some sort of in-the-middle situation, it seems, where the Veil isn't down completely, but it's not exactly stable either. And as many of us already expected, Solas isn't the only antagonist this game, as our main goal will likely be defeating the two elven gods that just escaped. Because of us. So after the gameplay reveal, a lot of us were wondering, what the hell happened to Varric? Because we have no idea where he is at the end of this cutscene. We don't see him anywhere. And I think that was done on purpose. Come on. We know there were cuts in the reveal to prevent it from being too long and to avoid spoilers. And I suspect there were quite a few cuts in the last cutscene, especially towards the end. If we look at the positions of the characters, here Varric is behind Solas. Solas is at the top of the stairs, and Rook and Harding are at the base of the statue surrounding the ritual site, which is across from where Solas is standing. After pushing the statue, Rook and Harding run away, but keep in mind, at that point they are still around the base of the platform that Solas is standing on. Solas breaks one of the statues falling towards him, and we are shown that the impact of the shockwave and shattered rocks almost send Rook and Harding flying, who, at this point, are still around the base of the platform. When Rook finds his balance, he is suddenly standing behind Solas at the bottom of the stairs, and Varric is no longer there. So there was a very clear cut here, and we have no idea what happens in between these two scenes. Varric is still standing behind Solas while the statue is falling, so my guess is that the shockwave pushed him away, especially with him being so close to the explosion. But there is a lot of context that the cut is hiding from us. We could be missing a few seconds, or a few minutes. Solas is still holding the ritual dagger when he is destroying the falling statue. After the cut, the dagger is gone, Rook is behind Solas, and the small tear in the veil Solas made has grown into a massive hole. So the two main questions right now are, where is the dagger, and where is Varric? When Solas is turning around, we can see a figure laying at the bottom of the stairs along with two glowing things? The background is very blurry, so it's impossible to know what exactly we're looking at. But the popular theory is that the figure on the ground is Varric, and that the glowing thing directly on top of the figure is the ritual dagger Solas was using. As for how he ended up there, well, a lot of people speculate that Varric tried to take the dagger from Solas while he was distracted, but ended up getting stabbed by accident. It's also possible Varric was successful in taking the dagger from Solas, but somehow the ritual magic connected to the dagger lashed out due to the disruption, and that's what hurt him. Something I've also heard a lot is that one of the emerging Evanuris killed Varric, or attacked Solas and Varric took the blow for him. Whichever of these it may be, most people agree that Varric likely did not survive the encounter. One of the reasons for that is that Varric was meant to die in the cancelled Exalted March DLC. And while the devs kept him alive in Inquisition, it is entirely possible they brought back the idea for Veilguard. Something that also supports this theory is the sorrowful look on Solas' face when he turns around. If it is indeed Varric at the bottom of the stairs, it would make sense for Solas to be sad to see his friend hurt or killed. It also looks like he is crying. Now I have to admit, it is very hard to see, and it is raining. So at first I thought it was just a raindrop streaming down his face, but the more I look at it, the more it looks like a tear. If we look at the other raindrops on his face or the ones on his armor, they're all staying in place. The only one that's actually streaming down is the one near his eye. It's the same for Rook actually. Most of the raindrops on his face stay in one place. There's a few streaming down and one of them is below his eye. Of course it might just be a coincidence, but all I'm saying is that the positioning of these raindrops is interesting. I'm not sure if I believe Varric is actually dead here though. Don't get me wrong, I think there is a big chance Varric is dying this game. I'm just not sure it'll happen so soon. As much as I think Varric deserves to put his feet up and retire in peace, I think a heroic death would be a really fitting end for him. And I'm not sure if it would be as satisfying and impactful as it could be if it happens at the very beginning of the game. Especially for people for whom Veilguard is their first Dragon Age game. I guess it worked with Duncan in Dragon Age Origins, but still, I feel like it would hurt just a little bit more if you were able to spend more time with him in this game. It's also completely possible they have us think Varric dies here and have him show up later on. That's what I hope will happen, personally. I've always hoped to have Varric as an advisor after Inquisition, and if it turns out he survived the encounter but is no longer able to fight due to his injuries and Bianca being broken, it's the perfect excuse for him to take on an advisor role. It would give our Rook and us as the player some more time to build up a relationship with Varric in this role, and it can be a good build up to Varric's heroic sacrifice, if that is the route they are taking. That's just my thoughts and hopes though. I'm very curious as to what you guys think. Do you think what I'm saying is a possibility, or am I just high on copium? The last few things I'm going to talk about include spoilers that were revealed in the big Game Informer cover story from a while back. So if you want to avoid those spoilers and click off the video now, I completely understand, and thank you for watching. For those of you that are still here, the gameplay reveal ends with two of the Evanuris who have been revealed to be Gillenan and Elgranon emerging from the tear in the Veil. Which, these being Gillenan and Elgranon, this is exactly what I was hoping, and I'm really excited that it turned out to be true. Especially Gil, since I think her lore and history with the other Evanuris is really interesting, and knowing that we'll actually be meeting her in the game makes me really excited. Speaking of Gil, it looks like she is wearing a mask, so we can't actually see her face, but we don't need to see her face in order to see how messed up she looks. Even if we ignore the tentacles, her proportions are way off. Her neck and arms are way longer than they should be, and I'm not even sure if she has legs. With all the messed up shit she created, I would say there's a non-zero chance she experimented on herself as well. Elgranon definitely looks more normal, but not less intimidating. I don't think he's wearing a mask, so that means we are actually looking at his face, but it's very hard to see any details. He's got these massive horns attached to his back. I am not entirely sure if they are part of the armor or part of him, and I wonder if this is connected to the dragon we've seen in other marketing material. Right now I can't actually remember if the horns are the same shape, so I'd probably have to edit in the comparison later. At the very end of the reveal, before the screen goes black, we can see Solas getting dragged into the Fade, which, as the cover story confirmed, is where he gets locked up. I'm assuming for the majority of the game. There are a few more things related to this that I could talk about, but those are all things revealed in the cover story, and this video is really meant to be just about the gameplay reveal, so I will probably save all of those other things for a later video if I really want to talk about those. So overall, I really enjoyed the gameplay reveal. The music was great, I think the game looks stunning, and the areas we were shown look beautiful, and I can't wait to explore them myself. Still not sure how I feel about the combat, and still not a fan of not being able to directly control companions, and having only two with us at a time. Some of the facial animations looked a bit stiff and just kinda off, but it didn't bother me that much. Apart from that, this reveal made me really excited. I didn't expect the encounter with Solas to be in the beginning of the game, but I like the route they've taken with this, and I actually really like that we are being thrown into the action immediately. It took me another watch or two to properly notice the cut towards the end, and I've been dying to know what happens ever since. I do wonder where the Inquisitor is at this moment and why they're not present for the confrontation, but I expect we'll get an explanation at some point. I just can't wait to get my hands on the game now. So, I think that's all I have to say on the Veilguard gameplay reveal. Yeah, I know, I was very late with this, but you know how it goes, right? Sometimes you just, and then things and stuff and... Oh hey, would you look at the time? Is it time for the outro already? Yes, I think it is. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, let me know by liking this video. Or leave a comment and let me know what your favorite part of the gameplay reveal was. If you want to support the channel, check out my Patreon, or join my Discord server and let's continue the Veilguard discussion there. That's it for now though, thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.